What is up, geeks? I have my lightsaber here, and this is gonna be a spoiler review of The Last Jedi. Um, yeah, so just warning you guys now, we're doing this live, so people are definitely gonna chime in and post comments that have spoilers in it. I'm gonna be talking about spoilers, so please, if you haven't seen the movie yet, you have to see the movie first, and then you can watch this video later on, which will be published on my channel. But if you have seen the movie, then I welcome you guys to join in, comment, question, and we'll talk about the movie in full detail. I expect this to be a pretty long video. I really want to get into all the details. I saw it for a second time today. I have my Last Jedi t-shirt here that I got from my uncle right here with Rey on it, who is now the Last Jedi. For those who saw the movie, I'm telling you guys, you have to see the movie before you watch this review, okay? So anyway, let's get on with the review. What are my feelings coming out of the movie for the second time? First time, it was a lot of just taking in everything that I saw. There's a lot of twists and turns in this movie, and we're going to talk about things that I predicted right, things I predicted wrong. Even the ones that I did predict right, it wasn't followed through in the same way that I thought it would. So it wasn't completely right. This movie, what it did well was really catch you off guard, give you a lot of twists. It's very similar to episode 5, but there was more twists instead of just one big twist. It also had a lot more themes from episode 6 too, which I was kind of surprised at. It actually reminded me more of episode 6, especially with the throne room, especially with the elevator scene with Kylo Ren and Rey. But we'll get into all those details, guys. I just want to open up with my initial reaction. I really love this movie, and I'm going to tell you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with my ranking for all the Star Wars movies, where this one falls into place. Hi to all my viewers right now who's watching this spoiler review. If you're just getting into it now, again, it says it in the title, and I'm warning you guys right now, this is going to have spoilers for the movie if you haven't seen Episode 8, The Last Jedi yet. If you have, again, I say, post your comments, post your questions, we're going to talk about the movie. Anyway, so first we're going to talk about where I rank this in the Star Wars saga. Then we'll talk about my predictions and how it panned out, and then we'll just talk about the movie in general. So first, number one, my ranking, I'm going to rank this somewhere in on the upper half of the spectrum. So we have 9 movies now, the saga films plus Rogue One. So we have episode 1 through 8, and then we have Rogue One. So I'm going to start out with my number 1, and it's Empire Strikes Back. Can't be touched. It is superior to all the movies, almost by far. It just, the storyline for it was perfect, and of course the twist ending, it really was the beginning point for a bunch more twist endings for so many other films. It really created, a sequel to kind of map out all the best sequels to ever be released for movies. It was just the movie. It was the movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. So Empire Strikes Back, number 1. Number 2 is A New Hope, which is the first Star Wars film. Really changed the game. Still a lot of fun. There's some slow parts to it, so that's why I'm not going to put it above Empire Strikes Back, but of course it's a different kind of film than Empire Strikes Back. This third one might cause some controversy, but I do really love Revenge of the Sith, and I think it gets a lot of flack because of the previous 2 movies that came before it, which had so much disappointment in them. So it took away from episode 3, but if we're going to look at all the movies by themselves, which is more fair, Episode 3 was an amazing movie, and it had the best lightsaber fight of all time, one of the best movie sequences of all time, that showdown between Anakin and Obi-Wan, which was built for 3 movies, and actually really built for all 6 movies, because we saw how they would later become and how they would later fight each other. So it was really built for 6 movies already. So episode 3, and then we go to The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi really, it did everything right. You know, the comedy, it had the darkness. It was not as dark as people thought it would be, which is actually a good thing. I think it it was serious where it needed to be. It was funny when it needed to be. Um, and I'm going to get into more details with that, of course, for this review. So, Goop, thank you for joining the live stream. Thank you for everyone who's been commenting. I just don't want to keep on pausing and you know, I just want to try to make this as concise as possible. But I will be responding to your questions and all that. But thank you guys for joining. So let's move on with this ranking before, you know, I get off topic. Milan, I do remember you. Thank you for joining. So after episode 8, it's episode 7. Very close. I had to see it for a second time, this movie, The Last Jedi, before I could rank it above Force Awakens, because I thought they were kind of both head-to-head really good. I mean, Force Awakens was a great movie. After that, I would go Rogue One. Rogue One was very solid. I love that movie. Then we go episode 6. Then we go episode 2, or episode 1, then episode 2. Last 2 ones, you could kind of swap. I don't really care which one goes last. I mean, I think episode 1 would just go a little bit above episode 2 because of the lightsaber fight with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Really great sequence there. But anyway, let's get to the predictions. So one of the predictions that worked out was Luke Skywalker dying. Now, I did not think he would die the way that he did. He did sacrifice himself in a way, but it was on his own accord, which I kind of predicted that he would die on his own accord too, but I thought it would be at an actual fight. So at the end of the movie, he kind of astral projects himself, similar to like what Doctor Strange does, but using the Force. So he uses the Force to put an image of himself somewhere else, which uses a lot of energy, and that is what ultimately drains him of his energy, and he chooses to let go of himself, become a spirit, just like how Yoda did in episode 5. So that was a huge thing in the movie. You know, Kylo Ren thinks he killed him, and really Luke takes his own life. It was a powerful scene. I loved that scene, and so that prediction, even though I did predict he would die, a lot of people predicted he would die. He died in a way that we didn't predict would happen. I predicted that Kylo Ren would turn to the light, and this is not a full-on right prediction, but we did have a sequence with Rey and Kylo would team up, and I thought they would team up. I just thought that would be it. Like, they would team up and fight Snoke, but as you saw in the movie, Kylo kills Snoke. They fight and team up to fight the Praetorian Guards, which was one of the best sequences of all Star Wars, one of the best sequences ever. I really loved those action sequences. But after that, you see Kylo not really choosing a side. He just is thinking about himself, like he always does, and he wants Rey to join him. So it wasn't a complete turn to the light. He doesn't really side with either one. So Rey, ultimately, I thought she was going to be more of the gray side. It ended up being Kylo. He's more of a gray Jedi, if anything. He doesn't want to side with the Jedi. He doesn't want to side with the Sith. He wants all of it to die. So Rey is actually the last Jedi in this movie. It really was Luke, but then now it's passed on to Rey, who's going to create her own Jedi Order. So what other predictions did I get right, but didn't pan out the way that I was supposed to? I think that was basically, I mean, I really thought Snoke would live to see episode 9. I totally got that wrong. There's a lot more wrong that I got, to be honest. There was no Han Solo funeral procession. There wasn't surprise cameo by Lando. A lot of things that I didn't see coming, especially Snoke dying, midway through the movie. I mean, that was a crazy sequence. That was one of my favorite sequences with the music and everything. Um, and how can I forget the Yoda scene? So I predicted that a Force Ghost would end up in this movie. Thought it would be Anakin. Thought it would be Obi-Wan. Did not think Yoda would be in this movie. But that was a great sequence. Loved it. I love the quotes that he had in there. Those were epic, classic quotes, and also new quotes that they incorporated, like how failure is the best teacher. That was great, and also how they become. He said something like they become, uh, or we become what they outlive. Something like that as masters. That's the burden of a master. I thought those quotes are gonna live through time and are gonna be very timeless. Great sequence right there too. So yeah, those were basically the predictions that I had, and they didn't pan out exactly the way that I thought. Luke says it best in in the trailer and in the movie when he says this is not gonna go the way you think. That's exactly what happened. It didn't go the way that I thought, and that happened for a lot of other people. So Ryan Johnson did a great job with that. What else can I say? Uh, this movie from beginning to end was great. The pace was kind of up and down, and I like that. Force Awakens kind of just steady the whole entire time, but this one just it had some slow moments, which was good. It really went into the story more, but there is one thing I do want to talk about. Some questions that got answered and some questions that didn't get answered. Um, so Rey's lineage technically was answered, but there's a chance that maybe it wasn't. Rey apparently, these are through her own feelings, which is what I'm analyzing is that she was left alone by her parents. That her parents were just selling her for drinks, like Kylo Ren said. But the only way that she would, I think that's what she feels deep down inside. But technically, it's not a known fact yet, as far as I know. I don't think it's a known fact yet that that Rey knows what happened to her parents. I think what happened is, if anything, Snoke maybe with that sequence with her in the mirrors, there's a chance that maybe he implanted that into her head, or maybe that's supposed to be an answer for something else. We don't really know what happened. I mean, that's supposed to be a dark side thing that she went into, that little hole that she saw, where there's like a little lake and then mirror images of herself. And here's my other thing. Could that mean that she's a clone? Maybe she doesn't have any parents. Maybe she was created. And that could be a twist for episode 9. That weird, very weird sequence when she's just in a lineup of mirror images of herself, and then the shadow of her parents coming together to form herself. So maybe that's the reason why she feels so alone, because she is alone, that she's actually a creation. The only thing is, like, what was she a clone of? People originally thought that she was a clone of Palpatine. There has to be something dark behind her past, I think, because we saw here in episode 8 when she's looking through her, she was closing her eyes and feeling the Force, like Luke was instructing to her, and she went straight down into the hole to the dark side, and that's when he says, like, I wasn't afraid of that power then, but I am afraid of it now. So maybe there's something dark behind her past. Maybe she is a clone of Palpatine. Maybe she's a clone of some Sith or something like that, some kind of dark side thing. I know they're gonna revisit the whole dark side nature of her later on. I'm pretty sure they will. How this episode 9 is gonna go, I don't really know, because Leia's gone, and I don't think they completely finished her arc. I mean, they're gonna have to show her death off screen. Kathleen Kennedy already announced that Carrie Fisher would not be returning. I doubt that they would recast the role. That would be very, very much controversial. So I think they might open up episode 9 with a funeral procession for Leia. Um, maybe maybe a procession for a bunch of people. Maybe this happens a couple years down. Leia dies, and then they finally have enough breathing time as the Resistance to honor all the dead who've passed. Han Solo didn't get a funeral. Haldo hasn't gotten a funeral. Admiral Akbar, and then Leia if she dies, and then as they honor the dead, maybe something happens. Maybe Lando shows up. That's when we finally see Lando Calrissian, which I think he needs to be in Episode 9 now. Now that Leia can't be in Episode 9, and Luke is dead, Han is dead, I think Lando has to be in it. There's a chance, though, we do see Luke still as a Force ghost, but he wouldn't be a main character in the movie. So I think it would be great to see Lando in it. It's already 16 minutes for the review. I could keep talking about this for so long, but I don't want to get off on any tangents. But I really did enjoy the movie. I hope you guys like this review, the spoiler-heavy review. Since you guys stuck around and are watching this review, I wanted to announce to you guys that I will be playing Battlefront later and be continuing the story mode, especially now that I know that they have a Last Jedi expansion. And I will be trying to do some multiplayer too to try the Last Jedi expansion. I might do that first before I get into the story mode, but I will be continuing the story mode for sure. And so I thank you guys for joining me for this live stream. I hope to see you on later. Let me see, what time is it now? It's 4:11 Eastern Standard Time. Let's try for around 4:30 to 5 o'clock. Probably maybe like 4:30, 4:45-ish for the live stream for Battlefront 2. So hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys for watching. I'm probably going to see The Last Jedi at least 3 times. At least 3. I saw Force Awakens 5 times, and it might have been a little bit too much, but I think for this movie, it might be warranted, because this movie was great. Ton of details and everything. And before I end this, actually, there were some things that I didn't even notice the first time. Like, I didn't realize that Rey took the books out, the Jedi texts, which is why probably Yoda blew up the Jedi tree using the lightning, which is interesting. It's like forced lightning technically, but it wasn't exactly the way that we usually see it. That was a very interesting sequence though. So Yoda knew that that Rey had the text, which is a nice twist. I did notice. What else did I notice this time around? That the ground on Crate, when Luke was standing on there, the red wasn't showing when his feet was dragging. So that was another indication that he was not physically there. Other than that, I think just little details here and there through the battles and all that. But those are like the major things that I did notice second time around. So anyway, guys, this is a long review, sorry, but thank you guys for watching, and until next time, embrace, express, and enjoy yourself. May the Force be with you always, my young Padawan.